What is happening, guys? Chris from NGG here, and today I'm going to be reviewing a League Cup list that I saw on Heyfonte. This is Josh Bangle's second place, as I say, League Cup. This is Garchomp, Lucario, Cynthia deck. So I'm going to run through the card choices, run through the ways that this deck plays, and the different strategies you can incorporate going forward into your next event. So starting off, we are playing a 4-1-3-1 line of Garchomp. We are playing 3 copies of the Dragon type Garchomp, simply because of Lance Prism Star. You can place this directly from your deck onto your bench, seeing Lance here. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out during the last turn of your opponent's turn, so that just places the Garchomps directly from the deck onto the field. Or you can pick the very spicy tech that he played, the Komomo GX. You obviously can't use Shred or Ultra Uppercut GX, so there's there explicitly for the Adamantine Press. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage. So to mess with a lot of mobs, it is a 240 HP body Adamantine Press. I think it's mostly against Shrine, because you just deal 30, 30, 30, and your opponent can't really deal with it. Not too sure what the Komodo GX is for, but if I had to guess, that would be it. So it is just a really, really good card, especially when you can grab it straight off Lance. And then he's playing 1 copy of the Fighting Garchomp. This is 4 against Zoroark. It just means that you don't have to use Royal Blades for the full damage to knock out a Garchomp, or a Zoroark, sorry. So you can put a Choice Band onto it and hit it for weakness, and then with the Dragon Garchomp, you can still take a knockout on Zoroarks, because if you play Cynthia and you attach stuff like Choice Band or play Kukui, obviously you can't play Kukui, sorry, but if you play like Dancy Prism Star or anything like that, you could take knockouts on Zoroark anyway, and take knockouts on most things in the format. So that's the reasoning why he's playing that sort of line. You could play a 2-2 if you really want, but it just means that Lance Prism Star is a lot less effective the less amount of Dragon type Garchomp you're playing. Then partnering the Garchomp is, of course, the Lucario. If you don't know what the synergy between these two are, is once per turn, if you have a Garchomp on your side of the field, you can search 1 card from your deck. So you search Cynthia, you search Guzma, you search Choice Band, or you search Lucario to set up more Lucarios, because it's once per copy. So if you have 2 Lucarios up, you can search 2 cards, etc, etc. He's playing a very beefy 3-3 line. I don't think he actually ever wants to set up 3, it's just obviously when they start getting knocked out or prized or stuff like that, it just means you can have minimum 2 Lucario, get going to search all the cards that you need. And then lastly, for the Pokemon, he is playing 1 Tapu Lele GX, just a 1 copy, because you only really wanted to search your starting supporters, because you have Lucario, which takes it from there afterwards. Then moving on to the items, he's playing quite a weird ratio of items. He's playing 1 Friend Ball. This is really good in this format because fighting is everywhere, be it Zoroark or Buzzwole Shrine. So you can search your Gibbles, you can search your Fighting Garchomp if you have Rare Candy in hand. Just Friend Ball always has a target. And against the Garb decks, you can search Tapu Lele, which then search your supporter, and then you can go off. So 1 copy of Friend Ball is pretty cool. It's not always live, but it is live enough for you to play at least a copy of it. Then 2 Great Ball. This is a sort of trend that people are going towards instead of Timer Ball. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. If you find a Pokemon there, you may put it straight into your hand. It doesn't have to be a basic, it just has to be a Pokemon. So unlike Timer Ball, it can search Gibbles, but of course there is no control over it if you reveal no Pokemon in your top 7, or if it's a Pokemon you're not really looking for, then Great Ball isn't all that good. But as the game goes on and you've deck found a lot with Lucario, Great Ball usually always hits the Pokemon that you're looking for, because 7 is quite a lot of the deck. So that's why he's playing 2 copies of Great Ball. Then he's playing 3 Nest Ball, which is just really good for putting the Gibbles down and going off and getting set up consistently. 1 copy of Palpad to recycle your Cynthias, which is just really, really good. Gives you longevity. And 3 copies of Rare Candy, because the card's obviously pretty highly searchable, but you want to play enough, so it means you can get off your first Garchomp. And then 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher to recycle Lucario, Garchomp lines, etc, etc. Again, again, just like Pal Pal, to give you longevity, because you are a one price deck, so although you can do a lot of damage, you do have these slow grindy games that you really do need to win. And lastly, for the items, 3 copies of Ultra Ball, because he's playing other balls, so he can afford to take 1 less on the Ultra Ball and still have a consistent setup, etc. No copies of Mysterious Treasure, because I don't know, actually, I guess he's not playing enough dragons, I would imagine, so that is why there's no copies of Ultra Ball. And he's playing a split of Stadium. He's playing 2 Brickla Hill, so you can search out your Gibbles and your Riolus. And then as a damage modifier, as I was mentioning earlier, Devoured Field. There's Zoroark decks usually play this card anyway, so Devoured Field will usually be down, either it's your own or your opponent, so it just allows Garchomp Dragon to hit better numbers. It can even take one-shots when it usually couldn't. It can hit up to like 240 HP, or yeah, 240 HP Pokemon, which is near enough every single card, so Death Field is a really good damage modifier, and Brickla Hill is a setup stadium, so having that split is pretty cool. And then the main supporter of the deck is Cynthia. This just makes Garchomp do a monstrous amount of damage, so that's why he's playing it. 1 copy of Guzma. This is very light. I guess if it's really searchable, or you're just committed to the Cynthia most of the turns, I guess you can't really afford to break that chain in Guzma. You just knock out what's in front of you, I'm guessing, so that's why the 1 copy of Guzma. Then 2 copies of Lily to set up consistently, and obviously if you don't have the Cynthia, this is a really good draw supporter. And 1 Steven's Resolve. I'd imagine this is your turn 1 supporter to search out rare candies. You can do this obviously through Friend Ball if you're going against stuff like Garb, or against a deck that's put Lily down. You can go Friend Ball, search Lily, Steven's Resolve, same with Ultra Ball, or if you're able to find enough Great Ball. There's just lots of ways to find the Steven's Resolve consistently, and obviously when this resolves, unless your opponent's going to ruin their setup or ruin their chances of getting set up just to judge you, and then you're going to go off on your opponent and you're going to stomp them. Marshadow, the shuffle draw one, let loose, that is an issue, but not so much of an issue where you don't just play Steven's Resolve at all. And then for the tools, 1 copy of Choice Bands, highly recyclable. You only want to use it when you're taking that big knockout, so you don't want it to clutter. 1 escape board, because Lucario is 1 retreat, so that gives you a free retreat Guzma pivot. And 2 EXP share, which is really interesting. It's a basic energy you can only take, so it can't take Super Boost, or Super Boost would be discarded, I believe, anyway, but so it can't take DCEs. It's there for taking the fighting energy, just to power up another Garchomp. It means you don't need to put any energy on the new Garchomp. EXP share sets it up right away. And then 1 Super Boost energy to start the energy off. This is really cool. I think it's a bit greedy of a card, but it just lets you play a Garchomp out of nowhere, especially if you have a setup and you play like Lance. If you have another Garchomp up, Super Boost energy just out of nowhere just sets up a Royal Blades. And then 4 copies of DCE, obviously. What's missing, I found, is it didn't copy over, is 6 copies of Fighting Energy for to hit your requirements for Royal Blades and Lucario's attack. So hope you enjoyed the deck, guys. Big thumbs up to Josh Bangle for this really interesting list. I'll leave the original Heyfonte post in the description so you can ask him some QQs. But hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please check the rest out of our content. But see you next time. It's Chris from NTG.